790 Friday edition of the show. Geoff Blum via the phone lines with us from Anaheim. All right, least surprising news of the day, Blummer. Alex Bregman is your AL Player of the Month for August. You mentioned it earlier in the hour. Just absolutely scalding hot what he was able to do in August. And really, he's had flashes, but he just hadn't been healthy in seasons prior, and it felt like we were always talking about, is he ever going to return to the 2018 form where he was getting MVP votes? This guy's the guy we're used to. This is more our speed.
Yeah, and we love him. I know what I love about him is that he's our guy, obviously, but at the same time, he drives opposing teams nuts, and part of me is a little envious of that. I wish I had as much talent and ability to get inside people's skulls to have them balk me to third base. So, he's got so much going for him right now, and I absolutely love the fact that he's getting the recognition for it, because just in talking to him and watching the progression of his season, like you're talking about, trying to continue to be consistent like he was in 2019, obviously set that bar extremely high when he was in the top 3 in MVP voting. But that kind of became the expectation for us. And then a couple of injuries, COVID, 2020, 2021. But here in 2022, watching the evolution from April to now August, watching him just grind on a daily basis, fighting, trying to find the swing that is going to go out there and produce like he wants to, was hard to watch, but at the same time, I appreciated it. He trusted it, continued to work, and now you're seeing the dividends of it because he absolutely lit it up for the month of August. That seems to be the month of Alex Bregman is August. And the fact that he led an OPS, slugging percentage, runs scored, all those things were just a credit to him working as hard as he did. So it's a lot of fun to be able to put an Astro again at Player of the Month.
Yes, 27 runs this month pushed him to second in the AL behind only Aaron Judge on the season. He had one really good month. He might have had one other okay month. And yet one really, really good month has put him already among the better hitters for the course of the 5 months of the season. In fact, I find this hard to believe that pitchers have walked Aaron Judge 78 times this year, and they walked Alex Bregman 72 times this year. I'm just baffled by the fact that is such a small difference between the two. And I know the lineups have a little bit to do with it, but it really just lends to what Bregman was still able to do while he wasn't hitting, which was get on base. And now that he is hitting and still getting on base via walks, he's turned himself back into one of the probably top 10 best players to have at the plate in any given situation. That's another reason why the Astros, without playing great baseball, didn't seem like were able to win 6 more games than they lost this month, go 17-11. And when the Yankees were winning only 10 times in 28 games, it makes up a lot of ground. Tampa made up a lot of ground on the Yankees. They have 6 games with them over the next 2 weeks, and they trail them by just 6 games in the division. Knowing what it's like in a baseball season in different places in the standings at different points in the season, are things getting tight for the Yankees, their manager, their team, their organization? I know they are for their fans. They're definitely gripping.
They are, and we all have friends in the business. We all have friends around the game, but there's a couple that I've been able to talk to here in the last couple of days. And, I wasn't to the realization that they were actually that close in the standings as far as, having a 6-game lead above the Rays, 8 games, all of a sudden, all these teams are in single digits behind them. But it's kind of crazy to think that the Rays are 6 games behind them. And if you look at the schedule, there's still a lot of games to be played against the Rays, Jays, and Orioles for the New York Yankees. So I think that's why there's a lot of concern being kind of crept into the mind of the Yankees organization, obviously, Aaron Boone, the fans, because there is the opportunity that somebody can jump them if they don't figure out how to play better baseball and win some of these close games. It would be absolutely mind-blowing to me to see them lose that lead in the American League East and become a wild card. That would just... It almost seems unimaginable, but at the same time, like I said, talking to people within the industry, all of a sudden you went from best team in American League, manager of the year, Aaron Boone, executive of the year, Brian Cashman, to the possibility of these guys may not exist if they don't win the East and get deep into the playoffs this year.
I mean,
Terminated, you mean?
Terminated.
Evaporated?
Yeah.
Gone?
I'm obviously rooting for that scenario, Blummer, and one of the main reasons is, and
we know.
I know you know that you know. Everybody knows
He
that.
knows you know that we know.
I know you know.
But you know what? You know why the biggest reason is, don't you? Because I've got that hype video from before the season began in my back pocket of how they have no excuses this year and everything that Brian Cashman said about, the Astros instead of, everything else he should have been focusing on. And you mentioned it. 2 series against Tampa, home and away. They've got to go to Toronto in that series with them. Like, that is... And it's late in the year, and then they come home for Baltimore, which is no gimme right now with the way they've played. So this is not like some far-fetched thing that they could do what we're talking about here.
Yeah, it's amazing to think about. As they're sitting right now, they have a plus 195 run differential, yet only a 6-game lead in that American League East. And those other teams, I know that Tampa Bay is kind of, sitting on pins and needles waiting to see what's going on with Shane McClanahan. They're that left-handed pitcher for them that's going for the Cy Young. But at the same time, you said it. Going into Toronto right now seems like no fun at all because that entire country is going to find its way into the Rogers Center and cheer their brains out for these guys. And I've said it. I think I've said it on the show. We've talked about it. One of the teams that scares me late in the season, but really in the postseason, are those Toronto Blue Jays. Just because that offense it has the opportunity to be extremely good and cover up some of the issues that they have with their pitching, because their ability to go out there and score runs in bulk, it absolutely amazes me. And if those hitters are firing on all cylinders, they can go out there and beat some good pitching. But you know as well as I do that those 3 teams between the Rays, Jays, and Orioles, they are chomping at the bit to have an opportunity to dethrone the New York Yankees this season after everything we heard leading up to this point.
Yeah, like you said, it's absolutely no fun to go into the Rogers Center. Well, unless you're 2 specific, very specific Blue Jays fans, then it could be a lot of fun. But you're not supposed to do that there.
Oh, really?
2 different stadiums this year in the last
onto the field.
2 weeks. Oh, yeah, that's what I meant. Running onto the field.
Yeah, that's
not
what he meant.
Finding empty seats near the top of the stadium that nobody would find you.
I don't think either one of us got you on that. Well, I was thinking of the A's, too. That's not the only.
That's what I mean. 2 different stadiums with 2, I presume, 2 different sets of fans. I don't think they made their travel arrangements around their activities.
Hey,
but
we talked about this, Blum, and since Wex brought it
in
up.
all these stadiums.
Really? That's you couldn't wait to get out of the baseball stadium you were in?
Hey, man, people have urges at odd times. We know this over the history of life, and that happened to be their urge, and they fulfilled it.
Right. See, that's the finest way to frame it. Baseball is life. It's really no different. We live our lives. They live there. It's all encompassing. Things just like kind of Tom Brady said the other day.
Saying it's a game of inches?
We all go through. As Blummer has kept himself from saying a couple of times today, I will do the same. It happens. Literally, that's the saying. That's right there on the bumper sticker.
Well, did you hear Joey Votto's rant the other day saying how great baseball is? The sun, the grass, nothing's the same. It's different stadiums. You can hang out on the concourse. He forgot to add that to the list.
You can sex in the upper regions of the stadium.
Just a guess. Joey Votto would frown on that activity. Yeah. We're here for baseball, people. Watch the game, people. But it's all good and fun. It's baseball, man. The summer may have ended, but the fun is only just beginning. Another segment to go with Blum. We'll talk a little bit about that Cy Young race and the fact that Shane McClanahan is shelved, Justin Verlander is shelved, and Framber Valdez continues to just light the record book on fire so he can put himself at the front of the line in a number of different areas, and he has now crept up, statistically speaking, pretty high on that list of elite starting pitchers in the American League this season. The A-Team with Blummer continues here on a Friday afternoon.
Texas pride, Texas spirit, Texas fight.
Is an exciting brand of football. Coach Sark here, Sports Talk 790. This is your home of the Texas Longhorns in Houston.
Brought to you by Dos Equis, official beer sponsor of college football on Sports Talk 790.